news. From the Vatican
Dio ci vole bene.
to Chicago, Catholics around the world celebrate the first American Pope, Leo XIV, Chicago's Pope.
Thank you so much for joining us as we take a look at the life of the Chicago-born man who is now the head of the Catholic Church.
Pope Leo XIV walked into the conclave this week as a cardinal and emerged as the Pope. This evening, we'll look at the Pope's life from his humble roots on the South Side and the South suburbs, where the faithful have been visiting to feel a connection to the new Pope.
We're also showing you the impact this Chicago connection has already had on businesses around the city and suburbs. And later, the baseball rivalry. The Pope seen here cheering on the White Sox at the 2005 World Series. But originally, there was some confusion about his loyalties. We will clear all of that up.
Yeah, certainly a lot to get to, but we start tonight with the whirlwind of a week from taking part in the conclave to becoming pontiff.
Today, Pope Leo XIV made his first trip outside the Vatican since the election, traveling to a sanctuary south of Rome. He also visited Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major, where the late Pope Francis is buried. We're told he wanted to pay his respects.
And those two visits came after the Pope presided over his first formal audience with the cardinals who elected him Pope. He made it clear he wants the Catholic Church to be more inclusive and attentive to the faithful. ABC7's Liz Nagy has been in Vatican City all week and shares the highlights.
This is the nucleus of the Catholic faith and its 1.4 billion followers. When the eyes of the world turned here to the Vatican this week, nearly no one expected a Chicago twist. The Vatican beckons the world's religious pilgrims, but never more so than now. In a moment of pivotal transition for the centuries-old Catholic Church, St. Peter's Square was frenetic.
It really is so special, monumental.
That's where we met Caleb Ham Tuesday. A well-timed year at Loyola Chicago Rome Center awakened his spirituality. Caleb extended his year abroad to witness the mystique of the papal conclave.
There's nothing else like this in the world. It's not like a presidential election. It's something for an institution that's lasted for 2,000 years.
Behind Vatican walls, ancient ceremony remained intact. But the process, long shrouded in secrecy, was suddenly viewed by the world. The Vatican pulled back the curtain on the conclave for the first time, showing cardinals swearing their oath of secrecy until
Extra omnes.
everyone out. The doors locked shut early Tuesday evening, and 133 voting cardinals were left to pick their next pontiff in the privacy of the Sistine Chapel. 3 hours and 14 minutes later, Caleb and the world waited. Are you prepared for how you may feel when you see that white smoke come out of the Sistine Chapel?
Really just an overwhelming sense of joy.
As if it was a sign young life was about to come to the church, a baby seagull sat perched near the chimney in the evening sun. And then, white smoke. It puffed from the Sistine Chapel, and the crowd erupted. With that, we took off, a full-tilt sprint through St. Peter's Square to snag a spot.
Habemus papam.
As the curtains on the loggia balcony parted, it seemed no one was prepared for what came next.
Cardinalem prevost.
And there he appeared. An American, a Chicagoan, a South suburbanite draped in papal vestures, Robert Francis Prevost of Dalton was now Pope Leo XIV.
He was crying. You could see his tears. I was in the front row, up in the front, and you could see him just kind of getting emotion.
I was so happy, so excited to see him walk out.
And standing within reach of the new Chicago-born American pontiff, Chicago's Cardinal Blaise Cupich prominently featured in this moment for American Catholics.
He made that wonderful image. He said that God embraces you just like the arms of the colonnade embrace everybody there.
Released from the weight of choosing the Catholic Church's ideal leader, 6 American cardinals felt free to speak Friday afternoon, eager to let off a little steam.
This is my first conclave, and I hope my last. So, viva el Papa.
Cardinal Joseph Tobin of Newark, a former priest at St. Alphonsus in Lakeview, said it became clear pretty quickly that the man they had known as Cardinal Bob was their man.
As best as I can say, this is the one. I took a look at Bob, and he had his head in his hands. And I was praying for him because I couldn't imagine what happens to a human being.
Cardinal Wilton Gregory of Washington, born in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, was immensely proud. His voice broke.
From one South Sider of Chicago to another, I promise you my respect, my fidelity, and my love.
A Southside priest turned global citizen, Pope Leo XIV now faces the challenges of a head of state in a deeply fractured political world.
You have called me to carry that cross and to be blessed with that mission. And I know I can rely on each and every one of you to walk with me.
As Caleb Ham departs Rome to return to the new pontiff's home city, he'll be following Pope Leo's footsteps in reverse.
It's gonna be great. I know I want to go to the church where he went to church and just see, how his life grew in Chicago, and maybe I can model myself after that a little bit.
Cardinal Cupich says the Pope is welcome to visit Chicago anytime, and if and when he does, he says they'll throw a heck of a celebration. Reporting in Vatican City tonight, Liz Nagy, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, here in Chicago, 15 permanent Catholic deacons were ordained during a service this morning at Holy Name Cathedral. The Vicar General led the service because Cardinal Blaise Cupich has been in Rome for the conclave and the activities there. Holy Name has been at the center of this historic moment for the Catholic Church and for Chicago.
Many tourists have been visiting the church and taking pictures of the sign outside that talks about this Chicago native pope.
After the new pope was announced, the church removed the black bunting, which signaled mourning the death of Pope Francis. It put up white and gold bunting in its place, planned celebration of a new pope. But the church had no idea that the pope would be from our city.
I was in absolute shock, happily shocked. He was not on my short list, he was on maybe my top 10 list. Here's the ironic part. When he was named in Chicago, at that moment I looked outside here in Chicago, the sun came out.
Mass had just started at Holy Name Cathedral when the announcement of the Pope was made on Thursday.
Pope Leo's life started here in Chicago, but he has spent his career around the world.
He served in leadership roles here in Chicago, in Peru, and at the Vatican, in a career that all began in Illinois. Pope Leo XIV was born in Chicago on September 14, 1955, as Robert Prevost. He was raised in South Suburban Dalton and attended St. Mary's. After graduating from St. Augustine High School Seminary, he attended Villanova University, receiving a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. He received several upper degrees, including a Master of Divinity from Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. Prevost was ordained as a priest on June 19, 1982. From 1985 to 1986, he worked at a mission in Peru and served in the South American country until returning to Chicago in the late 90s to lead the Augustinians' Midwest province. Prevost was elected twice as the order's top leader. In 2013, he returned to Peru, and Pope Francis appointed him Bishop of Chiclayo. In Peru, Prevost was known as a saintly missionary who would wade through mud after it rained to bring people much-needed supplies. He spearheaded the life-saving purchase of plants that produce oxygen during the pandemic. In 2023, Pope Francis brought Prevost to the Vatican as the powerful head of the office that vets bishop nominations. Following Pope Francis's death, Prevost started to emerge as one of the front-runners for the papacy before the conclave began. After one of the shortest conclaves in history, with white smoke appearing on just the second day, Pope Leo XIV from Chicago was introduced to the world, stepping out onto the balcony and waving to the faithful for the first time as the new leader of the Catholic Church. That moment, an American Pope being introduced, brought so much pride to Americans in Italy and here in Chicago.
The Pope's two older brothers were among those watching. One brother lives in Florida, the other in New Lenox, and he says he knew his brother would become a priest, but can't believe he's now the Pope.
I got the phone call that there was white smoke coming out of the chimney in Rome, so I went downstairs, turned on the television.
John Prevost is one of the older brothers of Pope Leo XIV. He was sitting in his New Lenox home Thursday when the news broke that there was a new pope. Then they announced his brother's name.
Cardinale Prevost.
So I was in a period of disbelief, and then as he came out to talk, then we knew this was real. And I guess a sense of tremendous pride came over me.
John is the middle brother, the new pope, the youngest. Their older brother lives in Florida. This is the moment John was able to get in touch with Louis after their baby brother was elected pope. At the time, John was speaking with ABC's Alex Perez.
What's your feeling with what's going on?
It was quite the surprise, but then again, it wasn't. Because I had a feeling.
I suspect we won't be talking quite as much anymore. But who knows? I don't know. I mean, he's the Pope. He can do what he wants.
As for the type of Pope Leo XIV will be,
I honestly, to tell you, I think he will be a second Pope Francis. I think he's got great concern for the plight of the poor, for the downtrodden, for the people who don't have a voice. So I think you'll see that kind of action going on.
a lot of pride from those two older brothers. John Prevost says he and his papal brother like to play Wordle and Words with Friends, bringing them together despite being thousands of miles apart.
We also spoke this week to one of the Pope's former classmates from St. Mary's in Dalton. Their families sat together during Mass.
Oh my gosh. And with that, all my siblings called, and it was amazing. I was like shaking. Very exciting.
And she says that she hopes the Pope will be a pope for the people. And the Pope celebrated Mass at Providence Catholic High School in New Lenox last August. The school's president attended seminary with the Pope-to-be.
As news of a Chicago-born Pope spread, Southsiders with personal connections to His Holiness celebrated a man they know simply as Father Bob. Heidi Skokel says her father, Ed Schmidt, knew Father Bob through St. Rita of Cascia. Father Bob was a constant presence in their life. He went to her home to bless her son when he was born 5 weeks early. Father Bob married Heidi's sister and brother-in-law and even attended the World Series with her father.
My dad would always tell Father Bob, you're going to be the next Pope. My sister-in-law calls me, she's like, Heidi, we know the Pope. And I'm like, I know.
Heidi says her father's friendship with Father Bob lasted all the way through his final days.
When the conclave began, some seniors at St. Rita had an assignment to research the candidates for Pope. And 2 students were assigned then Cardinal Robert Prevost and delivered their presentation after learning he'd been elected. Pope Leo received his vows at St. Rita back in 2013. Students find the unexpected connection between the Pope and their school inspiring.
It kind of shows like you could really do anything pretty much. Like you come from Chicago, this area, and become the Pope one day.
And Pope Leo is an honorary alumnus of the school.
And here's a fun fact about the new Pope. He speaks many languages, including English, Spanish, Italian, French, and Portuguese.
Well, up next, we take a trip to the Pope's hometown of Dalton.
Yeah, the boost in visitors the community has seen over the past few days.
Leo XIV, Chicago's Pope.
Sponsored by Wintrust. Different approach, better results.
At Eli's Cheesecake, we're always thinking ahead. How can we make our products in people's lives better?
Working with Wintrust, you get all of the resources of a big bank, but with that personalized care and attention. Just feel fortunate to work with a bank that really understands our business and our values.
The philosophy at Wintrust of supporting customers for multi-generation success is absolutely critical, and we really couldn't ask for more support.
We are missionaries, called by God to continue our century-long journey, bringing compassion and hope to those who need it most. We are visionaries, driven by our faith to reimagine the way health and wellness are brought to individuals and communities. With God and each other, nothing shall be impossible.
As the world waited for Chicago-born Pope Leo XIV to be elected, ABC7's Liz Nagy was in Vatican City giving you live updates.
I want to bring in Liz Nagy of WLS.
This is really a moment of celebration.
Stay with Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of the first American Pope.
Well, the faithful have been flocking to this home in South suburban Dalton, reported to be the childhood home of Pope Leo XIV. Many are now hoping the home will be preserved.
I would like for this to be a landmark where people can come and connect with God and, you know, connect with the Pope.
The home had recently been listed for sale, but that posting has since been removed. It's unclear what the owner's plans are.
People are also visiting St. Mary of Assumption Church on the south side. That's the church the Pope went to as he was growing up. He also attended school there. And there's now an effort underway to landmark the church and the area around it. Many would like the vacant church to be rebuilt, and the building's owner says that's his goal.
The plan was always to keep the church and to revitalize the community.
Couldn't wait to get here, and now I went inside. It is beautiful, and I hope that they will renovate it soon.
Some are hoping that maybe the Pope would return to the building if it does get fixed up.
Well, the Pope received his master's in divinity from the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood, and he maintained close ties to the school. The school's president, Sister Barbara Reed, was even invited to Rome when he was elevated to cardinal. She can't believe he is now the Pope.
I couldn't have heard what I just thought I heard, and I had to wait again to listen to hear them say, and then they went on to say Augustinian, and I says, oh my gosh, it really is. It really is.
Reed says that she is excited to have a Pope who shares the school's ideology.
Well, Sister Reed mentioned Augustinian. Pope Leo XIV is the first Augustinian Pope. We talked with an Augustinian pastor here in Chicago to learn how that background could shape his papacy.
St. Augustine was always looking for the truth with a capital T, which means God. And he was searching all over. We are a religious order that we have 3 vows: chastity, obedience, and poverty. We don't own anything. Everything belongs to the community.
Father Homero Sanchez has met the Pope multiple times.
Still ahead, the meaning behind the name, how Pope Leo XIV's papal name could symbolize his goals as pontiff.
So in business, what more important thing is banking, that financing to grow your business? Somebody introduced me to Wintrust, and Wintrust gave us that personal touch. These large national banks, there's no personal connection. The nice thing about Wintrust is you get that small neighborhood feel, but they have the muscle of a big national brand. As our business continues to grow, having a bank that we can count on means everything, and we're happy and blessed that we chose Wintrust.
We are missionaries, called by God to continue our century-long journey, bringing compassion and hope to those who need it most. We are visionaries, driven by our faith to reimagine the way health and wellness are brought to individuals and communities. With God and each other, nothing shall be impossible.
The magic starts now.
Mother's Day Sunday kicks off with a 2-night Idol Disney celebration. Lin-Manuel Miranda mentors at the happiest place on earth. Happy 70th Disneyland! And picks the Disney songs our finalists perform.
You've got the magic.
Then Monday, it's Heroes and Villains Night with a special new Lilo and Stitch performance from Iam Tungi. And find out which 3 will compete in the grand finale.
And that's how you do it.
Idol Live Sunday and Monday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Qui sibi nomen imposuit leonem decimum quartum.
That was the moment the world learned the new pope would be known as Leo the 14th. Leo, by the way, is the 5th most popular name chosen by popes. So we want to look at the significance of that name.
And joining us now is Michael Canaris, an associate professor at Loyola University. Let's jump right into it, Michael. Tell us what that means. Why has he chosen Leo?
That is the big tell, the name, because, you know, he mentioned already today that it's a nod to Leo the 13th, the pope of the late 1800s and early 1900s, who really cultivated the church's engagement with the social issues of the day. Things like unions and labor rights, things like the bridled excessive damage that can be done by capitalism that runs unchecked, questions of migration, those sorts of issues. And so it's obviously a nod to him.
There's a lot of speculation as to whether Pope Leo will continue the work and sort of be just like Pope Francis, although Pope Leo is described as being more centrist. So what does that mean?
In some ways, I was really struck today. I saw his papal coat of arms, and the Latin phrase under it says, in illo uno unum. No, it's not about the pizza. It means in the one, we are one. And so I think that you're saying a centrist, I think at least he's a bridge builder. I think he's really trying to reach out and draw people together, both in the church and also to speak to a world that really needs it.
Yeah, I want to hone in on that right there, bridge building. And we're talking about a world that in many parts of the world is in conflict right now. What impact can he have on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. He will be a global figure. You know, I mean, we've been tracing throughout this half hour and beyond that he has roots in Chicago, roots in Latin America, a Vatican a position in Rome that was very, very influential, naming bishops all over the world. And so he has a global perspective. He also ran the Augustinian order for a while. And so the idea that he can speak to so many different kinds of stakeholders and believers and even people of all faiths and none is really an unbelievable moment, I think.
All right, Michael Canaris, thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
We are missionaries, called by God to continue our century-long journey, bringing compassion and hope to those who need it most. We are visionaries, driven by our faith to reimagine the way health and wellness are brought to individuals and communities. With God and each other, nothing shall be impossible.
Food delivery accounts hacked.
Oh, it's devastating.
2 local restaurants out tens of thousands of dollars.
It's really put the business on life support.
Samantha Chapman investigating the scam. Monday at 10 on Eyewitness News.
From all of us here at ABC7, happy Mother's Day.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have the financial solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank. Wintrust, different approach, better results.
Leo the 14th, Chicago's Pope.
Sponsored by Wintrust. Different approach, better results.
I read that he's a Cubs fan.
That's not true.
That's not true. He's not a Cubs fan.
That's not
What
true.
is he?
He's a Sox fan.
So much debate. We're settling it, though. The Chicago White Sox immediately jumping into action, though, this week after learning the new pope is indeed a White Sox fan with this message up at Rate Field. There was confusion earlier in the day following reports that Pope Leo XIV was, in fact, a Cubs fan.
So his mother is from the north side, and according to the Pope's brother, she was a Cubs fan. And the Cubs reacted to those reports right away, putting up this message on the marquee at Wrigley Field. But, as you heard, the White Sox said family knows best and released these pictures of special Pope jerseys.
And now custom jersey sales are booming for one shop.
It is one of the many tributes we are seeing across our area. Mayor Kawash found several businesses showing off their connections to the Pope.
Pope Leo memes have taken over social media as Chicagoans are celebrating one of their very own. From the front page of the Sun-Times dubbing him as Da Pope to The Onion honoring the first Chicago-style Pope. Pope Leo XIV has certainly given people all across Chicago plenty to brag about.
We actually couldn't believe it. It was a total surprise.
Businesses from the south side to the north side have been rushing to create tributes in honor of Pope Leo. Venison's Bakery in Evanston crafted up these Pope cookies.
I was kind of shocked. Immediately people were buying them. I mean, I think I checked recently and we've sold around 100 just within the last, like, I don't know, 12 hours.
Aurelio's Pizza is feeling proud today, sharing this photo back of when Pope Leo visited their Homewood restaurant in August of 2024. And after much debate over the Pope's baseball fandom, his brother confirming he is a Sox fan.
Finally some great news.
Yes.
I mean, come on, that's huge.
Definitely a blessing on the south side, to say the least.
Josh and Stephanie Ganal are the owners of Grandstand Sports, where they have been pumping out custom Pope Leo XIV jerseys. They say this is the kind of news their fan base needed, and they're ready for him to pay a visit to the south side.
Now we just need him to throw out the first pitch.
Yeah, that'd be
I mean,
great.
that just solidifies everything right there.
Yeah, in his custom Sox jersey would be nice.
Bars near Rate Field are also embracing the new head of the Catholic Church in the most Chicago way possible with a $5 Pope special at Ballpark Pub.
You know, our special here is the Chicago Handshake, you know, a shot of Malort in Ken Old style, $5 all weekend until Sunday. You know, come on, come on.
So certainly many tributes that you could take part in all across the city honoring Pope Leo XIV. And here you see the finished product from Grandstand Sports of this wonderful jersey. They're hoping some divine intervention could help this ball club turn things around. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
No doubt, Mayor, thank you. So this is an adorable moment, and it's gone viral around the world. Students at Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Lakeview jumping for joy when the new Pope was announced on Thursday. When they learned Pope Leo XIV has ties to Chicago, they started waving around the city flag.
Look at that excitement. I love it. Well, the Pope has a busy schedule in the coming days.
On Sunday, there's a noon prayer in Rome. On Monday, he's meeting with the world press. And then next Sunday, May 18th, he will be formally installed as Pope and hold his inaugural public mass in St. Peter's Square. The Pope's first general audience will be on Wednesday, May 21st.
And tomorrow morning, be sure to tune into a special edition of This Week Live from Vatican City. Our Liz Nagy will be a part of a panel talking about the Pope's historic election and his Chicago connections. Chicago Archbishop Cardinal Blaise Cupich will also be a part of that broadcast. You can watch it right here on ABC7 at 10 a.m.
Well, again, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
We'll see you tonight after the NBA playoffs, but we want to leave you with final reactions from around the globe to the new Chicago-born Pope.
Never expected Americans, so it's a surprise.
La pace sia con tutti voi.
Wonderful, wonderful man who is guided by a sense of God's love.
He respects people, so that's going to be a mark.
I'm just always going to remember this moment.
I feel a lot of pride because, this is my city.
I was so excited. I jumped up and started screaming.
To me, it's a true blessing from God.